Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah, get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, bet you this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling, welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, and this art he's king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention? No listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back. Yeah, back.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? The hardest part of the ring. Once again, back in your asshole. Why can't I just say, hey, hello, I'm here? Well, I always have to do some stupid shit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Apron Bump. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, and we're here to get a little extreme with it. ECW Double Tables 1995. Man, oh man, what a crazy, chaotic show this was to watch and to recap here. Man, there's a lot of shenanigans on this show. First of all, this is the second major event for ECW as Extreme Championship Wrestling. I think actually the third, but there was a second one that was untelevised or some I don't know. It's all weird. But for all intents and purposes, it's their second ever Extreme Championship Wrestling major event here in Philly. And yeah, we just it's more of this company still trying to figure out what their identity is, I think. They definitely already have a cult following, like I said, obviously in Philly. But when we get into the show, you'll kind of realize, and if you even watch the show, which, by the way, if you want to watch the show, let me know and I'll holla at you. But because I don't think it's riding the cock as of now. But let me know if you want to watch the show, because it is a fun watch. But you'll definitely see that it is. Let's just say they're not at a peak performing level. let's just put it that way. They're ironing out the kinks, some may say. But like I said, just a lot of crazy stuff on the show. We have a Texas Deathmatch between Cactus Jack and Sandman. We have people being catapulted by their dick and balls. We have Chris Benoit and Al Snow having a really good match, followed by Chris Benoit being very terrifying at the end of the show. We have a woman in a wedding dress getting pile driven by a certain Hack Myers. So what else do you really need in wrestling? Huh? Well, you gotta sit there and pretend like you need more than that? You don't, because that's what ECW gives you. But a really fun show today. Returning to the show, Charlie from the GetCho Wrestling Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts out there in terms of wrestling, really just in general. And Charlie, a guy that's been on the show a few times at this point, one of my favorite guests. Really, can you guys hear my cat meowing back there? I'm about to take a kendo stick to this bitch after I get done recording this. But what was I talking about? Oh, the GetCho. GetCho on this cat. Am I right or am I wrong, fellas? But GetCho Wrestling Podcast. You can find their podcast on all podcast platforms. Super, super fun podcast. You know, recapping the week in wrestling, not just the major companies, but companies all over the world, and they put their own Asian barbershop spin on it, I believe is how they describe it. But super fun podcast. Go check them out. Follow them on Twitter at GetCho Podcast. Follow Charlie on Twitter at ChartyBeBad. As always, all that info be in the description and shit. So with that, let's just cascade through the tables that is ECW Double Tables 1995 with myself and Charlie from the GetCho Wrestling Podcast. Oh, you just watch teams you don't even know.
I have no idea who these guys are. I just like the numbers. Like, oh, look, this guy's a favorite. Okay, I'll play him.
Oh yeah, you picked a team that has like prettier color jerseys, right?
Like, as long as it's like a butterfly or something like that, then like I will put at least $200 on him.
Right, that's smart actually.
That's what I'm saying.
Did you bet on WrestleMania?
I did, and I put all my money that I had on Sasha Banks.
Oh, how'd that go for you?
Now I'm gonna be whoring myself for money soon. So yeah, it's amazing. No, I apologize. I wanted to be 100% for this, but like I just stayed out way too late last night. So I was just like, oh, I got in. No
worries, man.
I got in like 2, and I was like, dumb motherfucker.
Oh. What'd you do last night?
Just went out with some coworkers. Just got fucked up. It was.
It's like that's the proper way to prepare for ECW, I think.
But this is about talking about ECW. It's not even like watching it. It's like, you know what I mean? So I was stone cold sober watching it, but like now I'm just like hating life.
Oh yeah, backwards.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Coffee like gives me like heartburn for days. So like straight fire in my chest. Seth Rollins.
Okay. It gives me fire in my asshole. Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I'll just say
Ricochet.
Well, yeah.
So you're Asian. You might know. So I have this kendo stick, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you supposed to untie anything? Like, because me and my fiance tried hitting each other with it, and it's just like a blunt like thing. Like I feel like it's supposed to like bend.
You definitely have to untie that because it's like it's gotta be hollow because like you start hitting each other with that shit.
Because like it's the like there's these like red. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like red strings and then like white tape. Do you keep the red stuff on?
Like, you know what? I've never used one, but I'm just like theoretically, I figured you got.
Man.
I'm dead serious.
With something similar, like because it's like you hear that shit. It's just like a blunt.
That's what I'm saying. That scares the shit out of me that you guys are hitting each other with that.
Why don't you just don't ask any questions? This is not your business.
I'm showing my concern.
To be fair, I got 2 of them, so we each. I don't know why I got 2 of them, but I got 2 of them.
Fair.
And I don't know why I have it. I was thinking of like doing some prop humor during the podcast, but
we'll so. In the middle of the episode, like, God, I can't watch this anymore.
Podcast is 2 minutes long,
right?
God damn it. See, how did you First of all, I'll ask: were you like a big ECW fan growing up, or no?
Not really. Like, well, I just remember like I was up one night and around like 3 a.m, I just saw like Raven beating the living daylights out of Tommy Dreamer, and it was really grainy. But it was like, oh my God, I can't stop watching this. So, and then like, so sure enough, like me and some of the GetCho boys, we actually went to a few ECW shows in Chicago.
Right.
And yeah, it was some of the greatest shit that I've seen. Like I loved the ECW back in the day. So.
Really? How old were you when you went to those shows?
Oh my God, I don't even recall, dude. I was like, you know, I'm in high school. So I would say like, you know, 13, 14. Maybe even no, maybe older than that.
Oh man.
Yeah, because we were driving. What the fuck am I talking about? So yeah, like 16, 17.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because in my mind, they don't let kids watch ECW for some reason.
Well, I'll tell you this quick story. So yeah, back in the day when I was I would at the Odeum in Chicago, I'd watch like, you know, these ECW shows that come in, and it was just bananas. Like, and then I was gonna tell you a quick story. Like, you know how you said that you couldn't imagine like having little kids there. We were there, and this guy brought his son. And then like every time we swore like fuck his ass up, you know, the guy would turn around and be like, hey, stop swearing. And I'm like, you brought your kid to an ECW show. There's a motherfucker getting thrown through a flaming table, and you're sitting there like yelling at us for.
There's literally a puddle of AIDS in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like it comes with a side of Hep C when you go to these events, and you gotta realize that.
Exactly.
And I was just like so annoyed, but. That kid was also really adorable. He was like a little fat little blob, and he kept chanting Pikachu the whole night, and it got over. So everybody around us were all chanting Pikachu.
Wait, this might have been me.
I mean, but maybe you were that little white kid that we were like making fun of.
I was a little whiter as a child.
Oh, were you?
I was a little more pale.
Oh, okay.
Just I have well, I'll show you pictures after.
All right, cool.
So you said you saw Raven and Tommy Dreamers. Was that like 97?
I don't even know, man. I can't even recall what year it was. It was just so crazy. It was just like so random that I saw it. But I just remember
Right.
like I also remember seeing this one scene like another random night when I was just watching because it was always on 2 or 3 in the morning where Tommy
Yeah.
Dreamer was getting caned over and over and over again by I think it was by Sandman, and he just kept asking for another one. It was like, and then I was watching like it was like one of the most intense things I've ever seen.
Right.
So yeah,
That was
So-
actually right before this. Actually, that was probably a few months before this show.
Really?
Double tables, which I didn't suspect. I thought that was much later, but that was like because this is the second show as Extreme Championship Wrestling. So that was like kind of in the transition period. So that's one of the big things that they did to kind of like change the tone, I guess.
Okay.
So that kind of makes sense. So have you ever seen this show specifically?
God no.
and you wish you haven't?
A little bit. Actually, I'm 100% happy that I did, but I just like the theme of the show was like, what the hell is going on? That's all I know. That's the whole. That's what I kept saying to myself. It was.
It was like, yeah, because the beginning was just chaos, and then it kind of like petered out. I mean, there was chaos throughout, but it was like I think it peaked like somewhere in the middle. But
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think this peaked after the first segment.
You know what? You know what? We'll get into it. But I think the
Yeah.
Snowman match was pretty good.
Yeah, I'll
And
say that.
Benoit.
Yeah.
I mean, the closing segment with Benoit, I think, was a peak, right? I don't know if you caught that or you shut it off before.
I tried to shut off and like I just couldn't find my remote, so I just kept watching it.
It wouldn't let you. Yeah.
I think Benoit's ghost really wanted me to watch it.
Right.
And that promo was present time.
It was, yeah. You put a pillow over your remote or something.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
But the show opens. Show opens with the voice of ECW, Joey Styles, and like immediately there's ECW chants. Like it's very clear that like the cult following's already like started here in the beginning of '95. But the show opens up and right out the gates, man. I mean, I think this show was worth watching just for the copyrighted music that was all throughout.
Yeah.
The show. So
That's true.
It's Jason, I believe his name was, the sexiest man in the world. Was that what his name was? Yeah.
Sexiest man alive.
What a man, what a man, what a man, that song. So Jason comes out and he looks like a young Paul Heyman kind of. He asks the fans how they like his new suit. And then the crowd chants Kmart suit at him, which is fucking great. But then Jason introduces the Pit Bulls. Pitbull number 1 and Pitbull number 2. Which one's your favorite?
I would say Death. I don't. It's like they're both the same to me. It's like whatever. They were always interchangeable. One of them's bald, one of them had hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever.
Right. They look like Tiny Chronic to me. I don't know if you're familiar with Chronic from WWF.
What a callback.
They had the same
okay.
get up. They were just kind of like a 5-foot version of them.
The way I saw them was like one of them was like if you had put Rhino in a dryer and you just took him out, and then Pitbull number 1, I think it was the bald one. He looked like Karrion Kross wearing one of Scarlett's outfits.
Ah, yes.
Right.
I need to go rewatch that and spank myself to it, I think. But so Jason, after the Pitbulls, introduces his new associate, Jason. Like the movie, Jason. And like the mask and everything. Apparently he was like a legit wrestler from, I believe, the Wing promotion in Japan. Yeah. I'm not familiar with him. Are you at all?
The only thing I know
Jason the Terrible is what he went by.
Oh, okay. But the only thing that I know of about that promotion was it was spelled for some reason with an asterisk instead of an I in Wing. And like I'm saying, like as if that's like like something that needs to be censored.
Right.
But that's what it is. So like whenever you have a small little like straight thing, it's gotta be pixelated in Japan.
Right. That's how it works. I can't watch Asian porn. Can you?
Oh, all day. It's like I like most definitely. It just makes me feel better about myself, so I got to.
Right. But yeah, Jason, saunters out there with his mask. He's with the pit bulls. The pit bulls, by the way, clearly had no idea like where to be because they came out and went into the ring, but they had a promo outside of the ring. So they got back out, and then Jason gets introduced, and the pit bulls like go back in the aisleway and like walk with him, like try to look all menacing, but just looked all goofy. So that brings us to the opening match, a 6-man tag match. We have Hack Myers, Young Dragon number 1, and Young Dragon number 2 versus Jason and Pitbull number 1 and Pitbull number 2. What a cracker of a match here. So we have Hack Myers, who's the Shah of ECW. Matt Ritter, when we did a review before the show, or the show before this, and he called him Man Bear Pig.
Yeah,
so that's not all I can see now. But this, I don't know, man. This match was what the crowd was clamoring for Jason to get tagged in, and then so he was super over for whatever reason. And once he got tagged in, he kind of just like stoically walks over to Hack Myers and hits him with like a spinning roundhouse kick, which I didn't expect at all coming from him. Kind of looked like Eric Rowan in a different mask. But and then at some point, the Young Dragons just disappear. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you caught that, but they were just gone. So it's just Hack Myers in a 1-on-3 handicap match. And then Jason headbutts him a few times. And then the Pitbulls flapjack Jason onto Hack Myers as like a triple team kind of move for the win. So yeah, 5 stars, 4 stars. What do you think?
-5 stars. Like, this match was hilarious. I'll say that. So I can't give it -5 stars because I thought it was freaking, like, I couldn't stop laughing this whole match. It's like, I just love, like, these young dragons are just like 2 guys in like really shitty masks and wigs, and like they're wearing like their like white belt taekwondo outfits and shit. So it's like that's the one thing about ECW. They were funny with their characters, and they didn't take themselves seriously, and that's why I thought this was
Right.
hilarious. Like, there's this one part of the match where I think it was oh man, one of the Pitbulls attacks Hack Myers on the apron, right?
Yeah.
So like, so one of the Young Dragons is on the apron with him, and he doesn't do anything. He just watches him, and he puts his hands up right in attack mode. But he watches as his partner's getting his ass beat, and he's just standing there, just like not doing anything. And that was kind of the theme of the match, where Joey Styles would literally go like, "Where the hell are these Young Dragons? Like, why are they not doing anything?" Because even in the middle of the match, randomly the Pitbulls would just come in and start beating up on Hack Myers for no reason, with no tag, anything like that. So like,
Nope.
Of course the Young Dragons could do the same thing, and of course they were gone. I was like, oh,
Right. They flew away. They're dragons
away.
after all, right?
Yeah, exactly. But one of the funny things about this match is like, one of the Young Dragons actually lost his mask. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
No.
he lost
I was
his
distracted
mask.
by the leather and that the guy was wearing.
Yeah, like, he lost his mask, and sure enough, like, it happened off camera. So then after he loses his mask, he's like, fuck it. And he just stands on the apron, doesn't give a shit, just slowly goes onto the apron, just waits for a tag. I'm like, all right.
I don't know what it says about me that I didn't notice that at all.
It's a random thing that I noticed, and I'm like, all right, you know what? They don't care. So I'm just gonna watch this without any expectation, and it made it way better.
Yeah. That's the only way to watch this. But that the match was like really just the appetizer for what the the meat of this segment was. So after the match, the sexiest man in the world is cutting a promo outside of the ring, kind of hyping up his team for winning. And then in the background, you see Hack Myers is fighting the Young Dragons. There's some sort of story there, but it's not coming across at all. Hack finds a chair somewhere and beats the shit out of the Pitbulls with it. He runs off Jason. And then Jason, the sexy Jason, by the way, not the masked Jason, he gets in the ring, and Hack grabs him by the throat and then hits him with this weird ass like top rope face buster. It was a weird like setup, and
It was a shitty Meteora.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what he calls it. But after that, so Hack is just in the ring by himself, and then some lady in a wedding dress gets in the ring. Apparently, Joey Styles calls her the Virgin Princess Angel, so I guess that's her name. And she gets in the ring with a wedding dress and slaps Hack Myers. She's not happy with him at all. And then Hack just fucking punches her right in the face. What the fuck? And then he just punches her in the face, grabs her, puts her over his knee, lifts her dress up, and then spanks her. But I guess she likes it because she then kisses Hack Myers after all of this. But Hack Myers is like, wait, let me pile drive you real quick, and not in the sexual way. So Hack Myers gives her a pile driver after they kiss, wedding dress, and yeah. Thoughts?
I thought that before when you and I reviewed, I think it was Honor Invades Boston, that the funniest attack on a woman I've ever seen in wrestling was Michael
Yeah.
Shane super kicking Simply Lushless, right? And then
Yeah.
I saw this, and I'm like, no, this is the funniest attack on a woman I've ever seen in wrestling. I'm sorry, but it was
It's like,
just
what? For what reason?
exactly. She slaps him, the crowd eggs him on. He's like, okay, and he just socks her in the mouth, and I was just dying. But it was even the better part had to be the same thing. She makes out with him, and he's like, no, and he pile drives her, and I was just like, I was okay. I'll just say this: if anybody watches this show, the one thing I will definitely recommend is to see this segment, because it was probably the single greatest thing I've seen in a long time, and I was just so happy to see it. So I want to thank you for suggesting this episode, because it was so great. So I loved it.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably did peak after this. In all honesty, it didn't reach any level even close to this after this.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of Chronic, because we brought up Chronic earlier, we have the manager of Chronic, Steven Richards here. I think they call him Steve Richards, actually, which is really bizarre to hear. Versus Tommy Dreamer. More pirated music. We have Even Flow. We have Offspring. It's all here. And Raven is here accompanying Stevie Richards, which I believe it's his debut with the company, which is bizarre because he was just in WWE as Scotty Flamingo like a few months ago, like in this time period. I didn't know he was here this early either, but so Tommy Dreamer is here, fresh off a tour in Japan. He's looking jacked as I've ever seen him. And then so him and Richards start. I don't know why they're fighting, but they're fighting. Richards rips off Tommy's t-shirt. Apparently, there's some significance with the t-shirt. I wasn't really understanding what it was. I don't know if you caught that or not, but because like Richards rips it off, and then Tommy like fights to get it back, and then he puts it on. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to show his puffy nipples or something.
I think he's just self-conscious.
That is true. I'd probably do the same thing, honestly, if I was in this match. They're fighting on the outside. Crowds holding up chairs and frying pans and dildos for Tommy Dreamer to use. Dreamer finds a frying pan. This is a joke, and make sure to laugh, right? So Tommy Dreamer hits Steve in the head with a frying pan, and then in the other head. It's like his penis.
Wait. Oh. wait a second. I was like, no shit, I missed the cue.
Stop watching Arsenal and fucking the women's Arabian team playing soccer.
The Arabian team's up by 3, so.
Thank God. Thank God.
No, I already won my bet, so I won't be distracted. So we good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
You're betting on teams you don't even know.
And I'm winning. So it's like, that's what betting is. For anyone who, this is not a sports betting podcast, but bet the numbers. Dude, don't worry about the names.
Listen to him. He knows.
I know.
He bet on Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. So he knows what he's doing here.
Bet the numbers, not the names. If I had bet that number, I would have had a ton of money after Sasha Banks won. Anyway, sorry.
Well, who would you have bet on in this match going into it?
I would have bet on, oh my God. Raven was with Stevie Richards. Stevie Richards looked really good in this, so I would have gone with Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, it's a smart. We saw some. We see some lucha from Tommy Dreamer in this match. There was some tilt-a-whirl like DDTs, and he like countered a hip toss into a DDT that looked really good.
That was his thing. Like, he was known as the innovator of violence. So he was always doing like, really cool transitions to moves. They all wound up being DDTs, but he did like different ways of doing it. Sort of like how DDP would like find different ways to do a diamond cutter when essentially all he's doing is grabbing someone's head and falling.
That was devastating.
Yeah.
How dare you? You'll not besmirch the Diamond Cutter on this podcast.
He did it himself. Like, goddamn. Like,
But yes,
Like-
Dreamer. Yeah,
oh,
go
God,
ahead.
sorry. Oh no. What the one thing I wanted to say was like, like Joey Styles is so good at putting people over. Like during his matches, he definitely like just talks people up. But this one was one of those times where it backfired because Joey Styles was like, Tommy Dreamer's looking great, and the fans are loving him. And in the background, you could hear the fans going, "You suck!"
Was that at Dreamer though? It could have been literally at
it
anything.
was because it's Tommy Dreamer was doing offense, and the fans are going, "You still suck. You still
Right.
suck." So
That's actually funny though, because this Tommy Dreamer here isn't like the Tommy Dreamer that a lot of people probably think about in ECW, because he had like the traditional tights. He was like, like I said, jacked. He had the physique. He was like a handsome boy. But like Tommy Dreamer, he didn't really get over until he like just started wearing like pants and t-shirts, and they got more rugged with it. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's interesting that people like weren't like behind him at this point. But once he like kind of, I guess like the culture was changing, and he kind of changed with it, which is why he got over.
It felt like ECW was trying to shove like Tommy Dreamer down their throats in the beginning, like this
Yeah.
like white hot baby face, and this handsome, good looking dude. Where it's like, cheer for this guy. He's such a blue chipper. But then it's like it was too cheesy for the ECW fans. Once he got more edgy, and then just wearing that shirt and like just straight up like beating the living shit out of people, they're like, I like this guy.
Exactly, because you can go to WWF or WCW if you want like good looking, like jacked up dudes on your TV screen.
Yeah, pretty much. And then that's the thing about ECW too. The more you dress like a slob, you get over. Hack Myers.
Yeah. Hack Myers is just the tip of that fat ass iceberg for sure
You know
in this
what I'm
match.
Like, I mean, i.e. Sandman. I mean,
Right.
the fuck,
Oof.
like,
Oof. God,
So
there's
anyway.
so much garbage in this show, and I love it.
yeah.
Like this match almost was like the most clean, like pure, like wrestling match on the show. Like you see like frog splashes from Dreamer. He goes up, he like teases a moonsault, but ends up just like crossbodying Stevie Richards. Raven's getting involved. I guess he has some issue with Dreamer at this point, which is what you alluded to earlier. I don't know if this is like the precursor to that, but towards the end, what happens here? So Raven gets in the ring. He holds on to Dreamer. He just gets in there and just like grabs Dreamer from behind, hide and rock style. And then Stevie Richards then kicks him with a Stevie kick. So Dreamer's down. He's out. Richards then picks up Tommy Dreamer. And it was like a really awkward like tie-ups. Have you ever played Fire Pro Wrestling?
I have.
So like when you don't know how to play and you're just like locking up with the guy like over and over again.
You're preaching to the choir, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I know
choir.
too.
Yeah, right. And my matches would always be rated like 0 stars. It's like you know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly what happened here, because Stevie is like he like doesn't know what to do with him, so he just backs up and then hits him, goes for another super kick, but Tommy Dreamer ducks, punches Steve right in the ball sack, and then rolls him up for the win. Dreamer wins the match, and then Raven gets back in the ring, and he's like walking towards Dreamer again because they have some sort of issue. But then Steve and the ref just hold Raven back really awkwardly. Like Raven's just like walking, but he's not like trying to like get through. He's just like kind of stoically walking towards Dreamer.
Like a homeless scarecrow, right? Like just.
I think that's his gimmick, right? Isn't that his like nickname?
But or Hack Myers. But anyway,
Right.
so yeah, I think the storyline behind these two was like they knew each other in high school, and that I believe it was Raven was like Tommy Dreamer was one of the cool kids, and Raven was one of the goth kids that was getting picked on by Raven,
Right.
or by Tommy Dreamer. If I remember my ECW history right, I think that's what it was, and they knew Beulah McGillicuddy in high school. I think that's yeah. So that's why the Raven comes in and right away hates Tommy Dreamer.
Right. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense. At what point does Dreamer get crucified? Is that soon after this?
I
Do
don't
you know?
I don't
Wait,
know.
is that Sandman or Raven?
Sandman was the one who got crucified.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I get it's all like blurred in my head. Everybody gets crucified at some point in ECW, I think.
Yep.
It's like a rite of passage.
That was back when Mel Gibson was booking ECW. So
yeah. I always forget that.
But yeah, like I marked out for the finish because Tommy Dreamer totally Johnny Caged his ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like you duck under the kick and you punch him in the balls, and then like
Right.
he does the Van Damme like uppercut and then rolls his ass up. I'm like, work of art.
That's a fisting for you. But speaking of which, the crowd is chanting "pussy" at Raven, and because Raven just walks out, the ref Steve holding him back. The Dreamer gets on the mic and he's like, "Hey Raven, why don't you go back to the WWF?" It's a sick burn, right? It's a sick burn.
Apparently, at the time, like Raven actually looked really pissed. He's like, "Come on, man! We talked about this backstage. Don't say that shit, dude."
That's PTSD about his Scotty Flamingo days.
Yeah,
that's understandable.
100% stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
So up next we have more sexy Jason. We have Mikey Whipwreck versus Paul Lauria, who is managed by the sexiest man in the world. Like as soon as his theme song hit, and I was like, God, enough of this fucking Jason guy. But I guess he's kind of creating an ensemble of sorts. So good on him. So we got Mikey and Paul Lauria. Mikey Whipwreck and Paul Lauria fighting here. Right away, they're fighting on the outside because ECW. Mikey throws Paul into the crowd, and they keep throwing him back in. It's like when you take your shirt off and you throw it in the crowd, and they throw it back. But he's doing it with a human body here. There was a spot that cracked me up where Paul Lauria, he goes for like a baseball slide, but he like crotches himself on the front on the first rope, and then Mikey like takes his ankles and he just like slingshots him back into the ring. Like, Jesus Christ, that was probably the best part of the match.
That wasn't the first time that happened in this event too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's actually it was the first time because it happened again later, right?
Yeah, it's like, guys, so we need to have a baseball slide class, I think.
That or the ECW ropes need to like go just a little bit higher because like you'll have like maybe the next show like 9 guys like crash themselves or baseball.
How much of a goose do you feel like when you're trying to kick somebody and you just shred your gooch on ropes?
And then have the guy, instead of selling it, just pulling my ball sack onto the rope just to like make it worse.
Because Paul Lauria is like a small fella, so he literally got catapulted like halfway across the ring from it.
I wrote down in my notes here that instead of Whipwreck versus Paul Lauria, I put Whipwreck versus Billy's Kidman. Because the guy looked like literally like Billy Kidman if he had a son. He was just a tiny little dude, like a Marco Stunt looking motherfucker. But the one thing about this match that kind of bugged me was like the small guy who it's sort of like that David versus Goliath thing where like you want to cheer for the little guy, but I keep forgetting like he just keeps these comebacks, but you're forgetting that he's the bad guy because he's got the heel manager like also like so it was like that dynamic where like these ECW guys are just kind of like, who's booking this shit really?
Dude, yeah, I mean the booking and like this match was very sloppy. Like in particular, I mean there's a lot of sloppiness on this show because it's fucking ECW 1995, but like it was very. It seemed like I don't know how experienced these guys were at the time, but it seemed like 2 green guys like trying to have a match.
Yeah, and then same thing, Whipwreck. Whipwreck is in that rare occasion where he's the bigger guy, right? But he was still deciding to do like arm drags and like just lucha style stuff. And I'm just like, all right, you're trying to do all these like, it's like watching like Big Show trying to do a Hurricane Run on fucking Goldberg. Right. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, Whipwreck, read the fucking room.
Because I think that's all he's really done before this.
Exactly.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he kind of came in as like the guy, like the fish out of water guy, like the underdog. But now he's here like having like a legit match with a guy. So it was like an awkward transition for him, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But whatever. But it was another like thing about this match that kind of bugged me was so there's this one point where I think it was Lauria, he distracts the ref so that Jason can come in and low blow like freaking Whipwreck, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, are there no there's no DQs. So why are we distracting refs in this damn match? And then later in the match, Lauria low blows him again right in front of the ref. So I'm just like, what was the point of distracting him in the first place? I was like, oh my God, what is ECW?
Literally in the last match, we had a guy get in the ring who wasn't in the match, and there's blow was aplenty, like frying pans and all that shit. Like, what are we doing here?
Where are we finding these frying pans anyway that don't hurt like shit? Because these frying pans make the loudest noise, and they're getting smacked all over the place, and these wrestlers are sometimes forgetting to sell it. So
right.
Anyway.
We have a lot of that coming up. Don't you worry. Um, but yes, Paul Lauria, the giant. By the way, they keep calling him. I guess it's because it's funny because he's small. I guess it's a precursor to Crash Holly's gimmick. But Mikey Whipwreck at some point hits a top rope bulldog onto Paul, but and then they jostle, like you said. Jason gets on the apron, he distracts them, but really doesn't play into the finish at all because they kind of just get back in the ring. They jostle a little bit, and then Mikey hits a backslide pin out of nowhere for the win. But yeah, this match is it felt very like backyard trampoline wrestling league to me. Maybe that's a good thing, you know?
Well, it's just the fans paid for this. So it's like...
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a fair comparison, most definitely.
Right, because like you said, I mean, they're not using Mikey Whipwreck to what he's like supposed to be. Is like the underdog guy. He's like the bigger guy in this match, so it felt really weird.
I'll recommend though, like if people get into ECW, to start watching the Mikey Whipwreck versus Steve Austin stuff, because that's when Mikey Whipwreck was like when he was the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've only that was in one of the WWE 2K games, wasn't it? Wasn't
really?
Rick in the? I think it was.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, I remember that. I think it's because of that.
I never ever play story modes in those games. I just do like Royal Rumbles and like no holds barred matches, so I don't even know.
You just throw on Royal Rumbles and you place bets on who's gonna win, right?
And I always lose. I'm like, it's even video games. I can't win these damn bets. Play the numbers, guys. Don't play the name.
You have like Primo Cologne winning the Royal Rumble in this 2K game. It's like, what the fuck?
He was a plus 100. It was a good value.
Here's some plus 100s here. We have Ian Rotten versus Axel Rotten. Oh, all right. So this match, let's get right to it. There's no entrance. I think one of them doesn't get an entrance, but who gives a fuck? Axel comes out, sprints to the ring. They just start brawling in the aisleway. That was a theme in this show. Axel, this match is pretty much Axel, who I guess is the older brother. That's kind of what I got from this.
Yes.
He's pretty much just kicks the shit out of Ian this entire match. I mean, this match has got to be like at least 15 minutes long, or at least it felt like it. We got stop signs, steel chairs, etc. They start fighting in the crowd. Ian is busted open. He's bleeding like a pig because he is one. But Ian retaliates with a...
I'm just laughing, picturing a pig like on a farm just bleeding himself. Like... I'm like, Wilbur, chill out, dude. Come on, man.
Do you think every pig is named Wilbur?
Yes. Otis.
Man, I would have preferred Otis in this match, but
right.
Ian gets a little bit of offense. He low blows Axel, and that's pretty much all the offense he got because they get like kind of back into the ring. Axel gets control once again. If you want to know what this match was in a nutshell, you have Axel who has Ian on the ground. He's just pummeling him. He's bleeding. He's pouring blood. Axel goes, ECW, and then the crowd, nothing. Shut the fuck up, you fat old piece of shit. He's like trying to like get into that like culture of like, oh, we're extreme now, and the crowd is like, God, you guys suck. But Axel continues to dominate Ian, chair shot after chair shot, just punching him in the face, probably legit. And then, but Ian just ends up tripping Axel out of nowhere and just rolls him up for the win. So, bing, bang, boom, Ian Rotten wins.
Imagine like being in the back and be like, all right, this is how this match is gonna end. We're gonna do a roll up, guys, and it's like everybody is behind them. So like, basically everyone's gonna be rolling up people left and right the whole night.
Right.
Like,
you know what it feels like.
That's at least the last three was all roll up, and like this match. I mean, this match was definitely not for TV. It was for the fans because they're just wrestling in the like. Because I remember going to the ECW shows and I loved it when the wrestlers come right by me and like they're just being a show. So it was definitely for the fans, not for somebody like you and I watching this on TV because it was like kind of garbage. But my favorite part of the match had to be right in the beginning of the match. I think it was Axel who nails Ian with an unprotected chair shot, right?
Yeah.
And Ian, with no absolute shame, pulls a blade out, walks away, and starts scratching at his head. Like, that was the most blatant bleeding I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, does anyone not see him like stabbing himself in the forehead? Like
that's his gimmick. That's how he just hypes himself up. Needs the
I
blood in his eyes.
I guess so. It's like, it's like I'm gonna give myself like, I'm gonna give myself like a tetanus shot. I mean, it's like what the
Right.
fuck are you doing? But
Oh, there was tons of HIV in this show. Just
oh,
puddles of it.
I'm
Puddles
HIV
of it.
positive about that.
There
So,
it is.
yeah, it was, oh my God, this match. It was something. But I mean, it was how Ian and Axel had their rivalry, because like they would wind up having later on, like they would have a in Kickboxer where they tape their fists, and they have like glue and they have like glass on their
Yeah.
fists. They wound up having
Yeah.
one of those matches. I think it was a Taipei death match or something like that later on in their rivalry, and it was all the
Right.
same match. It's just different gimmicks. They're just them beating the living daylights out of each other. And
I
it was
think,
like, yeah.
that was on. I got a DVD one time. It was like the bloodiest matches in ECW history. I think that was on it.
Probably.
That sounds familiar. It's either that or it was like in TNA or something. They did that.
I think
Which they might have.
I might have that DVD, because doesn't that DVD also have like the Born to Be Wired match with Funk and Sabu? And it
Yeah.
has the Stairway to Hell with Sabu and Sandman.
I believe so. Yeah, it's been
See,
a while.
I know my ECW shit, dude. I was obsessed with that shit for a while.
That's all I'm basing my knowledge on is those DVDs.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun ECW match there, I guess, for some people.
Yeah.
But it was like, I guess they were trying to offer different things in this show, because you have that match, but then in the next match, you have Al Snow versus Chris Benoit, which probably, I mean, if we're just talking about the matches themselves, might have been my favorite match of the show. They're calling, first of all, Al Snow is the Snowman, which is hilarious. It's so on the nose. I think there's a blizzard during the show. So did he cause the snow? Did he cause the blizzard?
Oh, Philly fans, you create heat with Philly fans. You blame
Right.
the snow on somebody, and then the fans be like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like
I
it.
don't know. I mean, I actually like this match a lot. I don't know, like this
No, it was
was
fun. Yeah.
yeah, this was that match where it's like you just watch Chris Benoit and like, so like, man, everything he does is with conviction. He can give you a headlock, and it was like probably the best headlock in the world, because it felt like he was
Yeah.
trying to rip the guy's head off. So I just watching Benoit, and then I learned a lot about Al Snow too. I totally didn't know that. I think Joy Styles mentioned that Al Snow helped train Dan Severn.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I missed that
so
part. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just there. Oh, okay, this guy's legit, and then you could tell Al Snow was legit too, because he was throwing some really cool strikes, and like it looked good. But early in the match, I don't know if you caught this one, but I thought it was fucking hilarious. Where, all right, Chris Benoit baseball slides, nuts himself again. Like he baseball slides Al Snow, right? Al Snow hits the guardrail, but for some reason completely no sells it, runs back into the ring and drop kicks
Right.
excuse me, Benoit in the head.
Can't be a perfect match.
I
Can't be a
know,
perfect
but
match.
that's the only imperfection. So
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Benoit is so like you said, everything he does like matters. Like his scoop slams felt like he was trying to murder them. Like well, okay, that's probably bad phrasing, but and he was trying to.
he's trying. Yeah, never mind.
Both going for the same shitty joke.
Yep. It's like he really did a suicide dive. Anyway, so oh god,
choose. But like his
take
chops,
two.
his chops sound like fucking gunshots, man. They're just brutal looking, and like you said, his headlocks, everything he does. I always loved his power bomb. For some reason, it always looks so good. But yeah, the match like itself, it was like definitely the most technical wrestling based match on this show. Benoit, he's dominating the Snowman for pretty much most of the match. He hits a flying headbutt for 2. Benoit has really great heat in this match. The crowd is not happy with him, and he loves it. He was like really, really on fire here. German suplexes all around. But ultimately, Benoit counters an Irish whip from the Snowman and hits him with a dragon suplex with a bridge for the win. Looked beautiful. Yeah, just a great fucking match. I don't know if you have anything else on it, but I really enjoyed it.
No, like it was like I remember joking with you earlier, like they were booking the Snowman like he was the Undertaker, because the dude kept kicking out. It was like he took a powerbomb. I'm good. He took a
Easy.
German. I'm good. He just kept popping back up. I was like, Jesus. But for some reason, it worked for this match. It just showed that Al Snow is just a tough dude, and it wasn't like like one of those. It's like, what is he doing? It was more like, man, this match just gets more and more intense, and like the more that Snow gets up, Chris Benoit beats the living daylights out of him more. So I love this match. It was great.
No, for sure. And a funny thing, so this is right after that famous spot where Benoit injures Sabu when he does the backdrop and Sabu lands on his head. So now they're calling Chris Benoit the Crippler, because it's so like on the nose, but like Jesus. So, but after the match, they carry out the Snowman on a stretcher because I guess Benoit just seriously injures everybody he has a match with now. I thought it was really funny. The ECW like paramedics, they're called damage control. Do you like that?
I didn't catch that, so
Even
I
the
guess
paramedics have gimmicks, which is it's corny, but it's fun.
That might be like an indication what Paulie thought about his wrestlers. Like they're expendable,
right?
I'm surprised that they weren't called the cleanup crew.
That would have been better. It would have been better. But this, at this point, the show kind of takes a nosedive because now we have the ECW World Heavyweight Title match. Shane Douglas, the champion, versus Tully Blanchard. Yeah, Tully Blanchard. I didn't say that wrong. He is here at ECW having a match for the title. No music for Tully.
I like that.
For whatever
That was my
reason.
favorite part.
Because fuck him. But the match, Tully starts out hot. He hits that slingshot suplex right out the gate. That's all the crowd really wanted from him, I think. Tully follows it up with a pile driver, but Douglas is able to get his foot on the rope to prevent the pin. Then they fight on the outside a little bit. They try to suplex each other through the table, but no one really goes through it. But towards the end, Shane Douglas is on the apron. Tully Blanchard is inside the ring. He goes for an outside in suplex, but Shane just shifts his weight and lands on Tully and just pins him. Another just out of nowhere, like what the fuck pin. Just a weird, So Shane retains the title in a world title match, just thrown in the middle of the show. Kind of felt like an intermission match to me. It was weird. It's just weird seeing Tully Blanchard in ECW at this point.
He just doesn't fit into the mold. ECW was all about this intense fighting, and you got Tully Blanchard. It's like, what the fuck? So I was like, this whole match, it was just kind of back and forth, but it was a slow plotting back and forth. There's no rhyme or reason to any of the reversals. The comebacks were like really short lived. So I was like, all right. So I had faith. I was like, this is Shane Douglas here. This is Tully Blanchard here. This shit's gonna pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Then it ended. So if I was just thinking too, if a wet fart had a visual, it would be that pinfall. You know what I mean? It was just like
I can see it.
That's what it was. It was like the whole match was like, all right, what's gonna happen next? And then he falls on top of him, and match is over. It was like, oh, that's your heavyweight champion right there.
That's your face of the company.
There you go.
God. And by the way, if you want to, because it's like of a similar tone, on WCW Slamboree 94, Tully Blanchard fought Terry Funk, which is like a similar kind of why is this happening? That match is a little bit better, but it was still the same. Tully didn't fit with that mold at all. At some point, Terry Funk tried to pile drive him from the second rope, but Tully just sandbagged him. He's like, fuck this. Why am I wrestling you?
So what did Tully fit into?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out.
Because when you think of the Four Horsemen, who's you're thinking about Arn and Flair, maybe even Wyndham, and then Tully.
He's there.
Tully was there. Even I even think of Crippler before I start thinking about Tully.
Right. You can't have just three horses.
The only one below him is Mongo.
Right. Yeah. Even that's questionable. At least Mongo was entertaining.
He was, but it's like as entertaining as Hack Myers punching Virgin Princess in the face for no reason.
I'm sorry, you're saying that's a bad thing?
Good point. Touche.
Man, this next match is something that I thought was going to be awesome, but wasn't. So we have a Texas Deathmatch. Cactus Jack versus the Sandman. This so in the Texas Deathmatch, so the stipulation here is that it's basically last man standing, but in order for the 10 count to start, you have to pin your opponent, which is a stipulation that didn't really make sense to me because essentially you just have to lose a bunch of times in one match. Like right away, like Sandman, I believe, gets pinned like within the first like minute.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then it's just like, I don't know, man. So lots of unprotected chair shots to Sandman, and he's not selling them at all. It's like, I'm almost wondering, did Sandman get like knocked silly at some point in this match? Because he seemed like he was just like a zombie during the whole thing.
That was the exact same thing I felt. Like, first of all, yeah, that first pinfall was just like, what in the world just happened? Because like I was at first, the first thing I thought, I was like, man, this could be the world's shittiest Iron Man match.
Yeah.
Because like in 20 minutes the score would have been like 19-5. You know, it was like so many pinfalls and like, but yeah, it was pretty scary. Like, you know what? If I were to ever sue Paul Heyman for like negligence or something, I would use this as my smoking gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like, it was just like, all right, let's guys go out there and like hit each other with unprotected chair shots. And sure enough, you're right. Sandman was just like out of it the whole match. It was just like plodding slow. But one other thing, this show gave me hope that I could be a pro wrestler because I don't need to be in any shape whatsoever.
No.
You just punch kick for like a long time, and the fans eat it up, and you get a paycheck and go home. You know,
just throw on a gray sweatsuit, get some New Balances, and just get on out there. Bring a kendo stick. Once
again, Sandman was dressed up like my first day of kindergarten. You know,
just needed the book bag all tightly.
Exactly. But I don't know. Like, there were some little nuances in the match. Like, I guess that's what I've been doing. Like, I just find like little things to entertain myself during these matches. There's this one part of the match where Sandman is just beating the daylights out of Cactus Jack. Just a long heat segment, right? And then out of nowhere, Cactus Jack just completely ignores Sandman, and he takes a lunge at woman. He just swings at her. I'm like, wait, what is it? Like, what is he doing?
We need a little domestic violence in each match, I think. There's a quota.
Yeah, Chris Benoit was a good job, dude. I mean,
oh no. Oh man, it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore it.
That joke went too deep. I'm sorry.
No, you can always go deeper. Can never be too deep.
But I mean, the other part of the match, like the other story that I picked up from this match was like Cactus Jack must have DDT'd Sandman on the cement like 5 times in this match.
It was so bizarre because so that's like kind of like, you know, they're fighting. The match is like you said, it's a plotting match. They're just hitting each other really hard with weapons and nobody's selling anything. At one point, you know, Cactus goes for like a drop kick on the outside, but he misses Sandman and hits the barricade. So his like leg is injured. Yeah. And then Sandman tries to attack the leg for a little bit and they just get bored with it after a while. So they just kind of move on. Leg's fine. And then, but it's like Sandman, he pins Cactus Jack a few times in this match. But every time he pins him, he breaks up the count after.
I forgot about
like,
that.
what? So why bother pinning him, you asshole? He's like, and Joey Styles even on commentary, he's like, I think Sandman forgot the rules. It's like, yeah, no shit.
That's one thing where Joey Styles was so smart in this match, but he couldn't even cover that up.
Yeah, there's like no way to. The crowd's confused. I'm confused. Like, what's going on here?
But I'll give Joey Styles credit for one thing. In the middle of the match, he goes, "Why don't you just take 3 count and take the extra 8 seconds to recover?"
Yeah,
he says it in the middle of the match. I'm just there. Thank you. Like, so I'll give him credit for that part. But other than that, like, did you notice too? Like this is where I feel like Sandman was CTE'd, because every time he got DDT'd onto the cement, he would get up and no sell it.
Yes.
He just kept no selling DDTs in cement. He just got up again, and it wasn't even like dramatic. He just got up like he had to go up and take a piss, like, you know, in the middle of the night.
He probably did.
Oh, probably. Like, you know, like he probably had a little like diaper on, just like going to town on himself.
Is that why he looks so fluffy in that gray sweatsuit? Maybe that's why.
Before or after during the match, it's just urinating all over himself, you know.
Saves time.
Don't wear white pants, dude.
Dude, those kendo stick shots. For some reason, when Jack was hitting Sandman, you like saw the sweat just like poof out of his head.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, it was something like, oh shit, that was actually kind of hard.
That looked like that hurt. Oh God.
It's fine. I'm Sandman.
It's like
up.
So next match was Otis versus Chad Gable.
S.A. Rios versus
Steve Blackman in a loser leaves Africa match.
Is that? Oh, never mind.
A Punjabi prison match. Sorry.
I was about to say, was that what that Nigerian drum fight was?
the drum fight that didn't use a drum, right? That one?
Yeah, that one.
Oh my God.
But there were no drums in this match either. There was just, like you said, unprotected cement DDTs. So Jack hits him with 2, but Sandman, he pins him both times. 1, 2, 3, but then Sandman gets right back up after the pin. But then the third time, Jack gets on the apron because they're on the outside. Jack gets a steel chair, gets on the apron, just yeets this chair right at Sandman's head, throws it, and it bends the chair so it's wrapped around his head. Looked amazing. But then Jack hits a third DDT on the concrete after that, pins him, and then that's what gets the win. That's what gets the 10 count. And another funny thing about this is that they're fighting, and you probably can relate to this because you've been to these shows. They're fighting on one side of the ring. So like 80% of the people there don't know what the fuck is going on. Like
100%.
You even hear those chants, like the "we can't see" or whatever the fuck,
100%.
So, you could have done a DDT spot on each side of the ring because they did it 4 times anyway, so you could. That's whatever.
Nope.
Nope. So Jack wins here. Sandman, I guess he wins because now the match is over and now he can go back to drinking whatever the fuck or whatever he was doing back there. And then so that's the match. How many stars?
That's like maybe like worth 2 Hackmeyer punches on a woman.
That's a lot.
I know that actually wasn't bad. It was brutal. So I was like, okay, it kept me like entertained, but nothing I'd ever watch again. So
yeah, it was something.
Yeah. Ugh.
But that brings us to the main event. The ECW World Tag Team titles are on the line. We have the champions Public Enemy versus Sabu and the Tasmaniac. And this is a double tables match, as per the name of the show. Man, the entrance for Public Enemy was hype as fuck. What was the song again? Do you remember?
Here comes the hot stepper.
How's that go?
Here comes the hot stepper. Something, something. Here comes the hot stepper. Da da da. Da 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 da.
Thank you. You just have that underneath during the whole show. But so it's a double tables match. So you have to put both people on a team through the tables to win. Like I said, Public Enemy comes out to that hype music. They're doing the hey, oh, and the crowd's going with them. And then Sabu and Taz come out to what sounds like Jaws music. Like, I guess they didn't really figure out what Taz was at this point. But
yeah,
this match is chaos. Once again, it's like because they basically pair off and they're fighting on like separate ends of the arena. At one point, Johnny Grunge is set up on a table. So the table's set up in the ring. Johnny Grunge is laid up on the table. Sabu, this crazy motherfucker, has a chair. He sets the chair up on the top turnbuckle. Like, yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. He puts it on the top turnbuckle. He stands on the chair and then leaps off of it. And obviously the chair flings to the side. Sabu like half hits him. The table doesn't really break. He like kind of hits his knee on the table. It's just chaotic and it's classic Sabu, really. But then they're fighting all over the arena. At one point, Sabu slams Rocco Rock, the other Public Enemy. He slams his head through the table that's set up in the corner, but I guess that doesn't count as an elimination. I was very confused. But but on the other side of the ring, Taz and Johnny Grunge are both on the top rope, and they both fall, and then they both fall through a table. So they're both eliminated. So now it's just Sabu and Rocco Rock. Rocco Rock has Sabu laid up on a table, and he does a swanton off the top rope through the table, through Sabu. But the referee is distracted. There's these darn referees, and they're distracting. So it doesn't count, even though Sabu got put through the table. Rock even goes and rings the bell himself. He chokes out Paul Heyman, who's standing ringside. It's kind of just an aside. And Sabu then sets up Rock on a table on the outside. They start fighting. Rock is on the table, and then Sabu gets on the apron and leg drops him off the apron through the table, which gives Sabu and Taz the win. So now they are the new ECW Tag Team Champions. And then, that's a match that happened.
That's the best. That's putting it in a nutshell. Like Sabu was definitely one of my favorite ECW guys to watch. Because one of the funny things about Sabu, it's like anything he did, you just have to put the word Arabian next to it, and that was his move. It was a chair drop. Nope, Arabian face buster.
Arabian snapmare.
Yeah, Arabian snapmare. Oh, Arabian punch in the face. But he was the king of that wild style where it's like just where it's like chaos. He was the bringer of chaos, and I loved it. So this match was entertaining, but it was entertaining because it gave you table spots all over the place. And you're right, the guy's head went through the table, but it didn't count because it was just his head. I guess rule A. Section 2 of double tables matches, it has to be more than just your forehead going through a table for it to count.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I read the rule book, but it was written on a napkin in blood, so
I believe it. Just Ian Rotten's blood.
Yeah, exactly. So you had to wipe off the Hep C, and then
anyway, I see.
But no, this match was it was really entertaining. But I had a few notes about this match. The one thing about Taz is he couldn't help himself. In the middle of the match, it wasn't if he was in the middle of the ring and he was alone with somebody, he had to suplex him. Mm-hmm. No matter what, he'll be brawling, and then he finally gets into the match. He's like, I can imagine wrestling with him right now. He's like, dude, I'm gonna suplex you now. He's like, dude, again? He's like, and he just throws his ass. And and even in the middle of the match, he takes his own partner and Taz plexes him over his head and throws his ass on Rocco Rock. So I'm like, he's even suplexing his own damn teammate.
I love that because you see that sometimes, right? And somebody will assist a splash, but he does the whole he locks his arm and all that shit. Why is that necessary? It's just for the impact of him landing on him. Why are you clenching his neck like that?
Sabu, in Sabu's character, he's he doesn't say anything really, but in the ring, he's like, my brother, what are you doing, man? Why
is that how Sabu talks?
Why,
mate.
Why are you crossing my arms like that? Come on, man. we didn't talk about this.
It's unnecessary.
But then that spot that you talked about where the referee didn't see the table getting busted, so it didn't count. I couldn't believe that he was distracted. He didn't see it. But that shit happened no more than 5 feet away from you because it's such a small ring. So he had to see it. Plus, there was a second ref clearly looking at it. So I was just I know it wouldn't have worked if the ref corrected the other ref, be like, hey, he actually got put through the table, dude. You missed it, But it was just such bad booking. I'm like, if you're gonna have two refs, distract them both if you're gonna do that or something. Yeah. And I was just like, So I'm glad that the carnage, because that's what ECW was. It wasn't about sensible booking. It was just about crazy shit happening.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out CCW. So it's so it did the trick, and then the fans were all over, and then I was entertained, so I liked it a lot actually.
Yeah, it was a weird as far as what the story was. It was confusing, but it was just fun car crash kind of entertainment, which I guess is what ECW was. But then after the match, we have some shenanigans. So 911 comes out. So there's this whole faction out. I forget what they're called, but it's Paul Heyman leads it. And it's taboo. It's taboo. That's what they should be called. It's Taz and Sabu.
It's taboo. Oh my god.
That's fun. We're all having fun here. But then 911 is also a part of that faction. So he comes out. He sets up, because they're all fighting after the match, because that's what you do in ECW. So he sets
Shout
up.
Shout out AEW.
Yeah. He sets up Johnny Grunge on a table. And then he sets up a second table on the top turnbuckle, laying flat. Sabu climbs up there on the top table, I guess. Like you said, going to go for an Arabian facebuster off the top rope through the table. But Chris Benoit comes back out, and him and Sabu are both standing on the table that's set up on the top turnbuckle. Benoit just fucking power bombs him off the top rope through the table. That is such, man, I had my butthole puckered up watching that, because that is such like that wobbly ass table on the top rope, and he's like literally picking him up and all that shit. But it looked good for what it was supposed to be, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they don't call him the Crippler for nothing, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it rolls off the tongue better than unsafe worker. So
Right. You can't put that on a t-shirt.
Chris, the unsafe worker Benoit.
I love, by the way, that because he was the Crippler pretty much for his entire career.
Yeah.
But it's really just based off of him just fucking yeeting Sabu and making him break his neck, like, for real.
Yeah, pretty much. But pretty soon, like, I think Ryback's trying to take that moniker from him now.
I see.
But yeah, that was just there. I got no comment on what happened there. It was just fun carnage and same thing. Like me, like I didn't know the story beforehand, so all I saw was Chris Benoit running out, just powerbombing people. I'm like, why is he out?
He didn't really miss much, honestly.
Yeah, I guess not. But like, I was just like, what is going on? What does he have to do with any of this? Like, and why is like Jason not back out?
I miss Jason. I was missing Jason in this match. He was MVP of the show.
Yeah, but he had to go back to Olive Garden to show people where they had to sit.
Oh, I see.
Oh, joke ruined by the word seat.
I love it.
Oh my god. Conjugation is not my strength.
No English.
I talk like this now because this is the real way I talk. Because I am actually a Nigerian prince.
Is that your Nigerian accent?
No, that's an action. It was a shot at WWE, but that was still my Asian accent. So.
I see. I thought you were trying to be Nigerian there. It's like,
God, no.
You need to watch SmackDown some.
Yeah, right.
But you said you didn't know where the story was going. So after the match, the show closes out with a really bizarre, scary promo from Chris Benoit. So it's him. I'll have to like clip this and put it on Twitter or something, because he's like he has like a black screen behind him. He's talking, and then like in the background you see his hands just like kind of like transparent in the background, and you see his face in front of it, and he's just like, he's talking like this. I'm gonna cripple you. Do you want to hear a poem, Michael Cole? Like that kind of deal. And then he's
shout out Heidenreich, right?
Hell yeah. It's a precursor to that, but basically. He's saying that him and Dean Malenko, I guess they're a team, that Benoit and Dean Malenko are going to challenge for the tag titles at the next show, I guess. Who knows? But yeah, and that's how the show closes, with a really bizarre promo from Benoit saying that he's going to murder somebody.
Precursor.
Foreshadowing.
Dark Side of the Ring, guys. Watch it.
That's what the show is.
Like the one thing I got out of that, it's like I was hoping it was just bad editing, where like while he was talking, you could clearly see his hands doing something different than what's on the background.
Right. Yeah.
So the background, you see him like doing like this, but then he goes like, "So I'm gonna kill you," and I'm gonna go like, and then it does this the finger to the throat thing. Like I was hoping for some kind of funny botch like that, but apparently that was his hands. Apparently they did take the time to record his hands as they were recording his face talking. So
yeah.
Of all the things they focused on.
Lord. But yeah, that's ECW double tables 95. I don't know. Rating out of 10. What do you think you'd give this one?
I'll give it a 10.
Yeah, I think so. That makes sense.
No, actually, okay. When after the first match, I would have given it an 11 or 12,
right?
Because that segment. Once again, I'll go back and watch it right now after we're done talking about this, because it's so damn funny to me. So
yeah.
But then everything after that was kind of like all right. So I'll give it a 6.
Yeah,
fair?
It was
fair?
Yeah. I think that's generous too, because like
maybe.
Al Snow versus Benoit was fun. The main event was fun for what it was, just chaos. And like you said, the first match was just hilarious. It was a lot of sludge in this show, though. I mean, it was an easy watch. It was like less than 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So I had no problem watching it from start to finish. It was fun just for like the historic aspect of it, just seeing where they were at this time and seeing how like they would evolve over time. Like seeing Raven get there, seeing Whipwreck in like a situation you don't normally see him in. So there was some fun stuff on the show overall, I think.
Yeah. Lately, it's more fun to like nitpick the stupid things that happen because you don't really notice it. You know, so.
We got a cameo here. So we have speaking of cats. There's some cool cats over there at the GetCho Podcast. Where can everybody listen to you guys?
So we're at GetCho Podcast on Twitter. Our links are on there. All you have to do is go onto whatever app you use to listen to your podcast. Just check out GetCho Podcast. We're probably the only GetCho, so you just type that, you should be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, it's just a shameless plug. It's just 4 dudes, like we're lifelong friends, and we just talk wrestling and just shoot the shit. This is just our group text on live for everyone to hear, and then we also do our sweaty sessions where we just basically make fun of sweaty wrestling fans who take wrestling way too seriously, or we just do fun creative stuff to like entertain you guys. So you'll see what I mean, because we do rap battles, poems, we do little like shit like that. So check us out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And if you are, I'm not. It's because it's not me. It's because of Garn.
Man, I should have done a sweaty session on this show of like, you be the Virgin Princess and I'm Hack Myers and we like rap battle each other. We'll do it on the next show.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just hit me again, Daddy.
Oh, stepdad, why are you hitting me with that kendo stick? But yeah, that's all I got, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude.
No, it's a pleasure being on the show, and then hopefully everyone else enjoys it as much as I enjoyed doing it and enjoyed watching this event. So check this shit out, guys.
Hell yeah. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Chris Benoit, shout out.
Once again, thank you to Charlie from the GetCho Wrestling Podcast for bringing a little chode mode to the pod. And no, really, as always, super fun time with Charlie. Lots of fun and lots of fodder to make fun of with this show, ECW Double Tables 1995. Just a really, it's ECW, it's early ECW. So there is a lot of chaos and a lot of questionable tactics used, but super fun show to watch and super fun show to recap as well. Like I said, follow GetCho Podcast on all podcast platforms. Follow them on Twitter at GetCho Podcast. Follow Charlie on Twitter at ChardyBBad. See description. And yeah, there she blows. That's all we got for you today. Thank you guys once again for listening. Check out apronbump.com for all my episodes. I've organized it so that if you want to just filter by certain promotions, certain timelines, you can easily go there and it'll bring you to links that you can click. That'll bring you to whatever podcast platform you choose to view this on. And keep an eye out for the video version. Will probably be out the day or maybe 2 days after this drops. So keep an eye out for that. Follow me on social media. Kiss your mom. Slap your dad on the ass. Shut the fuck up, cat. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it.